Welcome, history lovers. Today, we're journeying back in time to explore the incredible story of Cambodia, a land of ancient empires, profound resilience, and breathtaking beauty. So grab your explorer's hat, and let's dive into the heart of Southeast Asia. Our story begins not with kings and temples, but with early settlements along the fertile Mekong River Delta. Around the 1st century AD, a powerful kingdom known as Funan emerged. Heavily influenced by Indian trade and culture, Funan became the region's first major state. Its people adopted Hinduism and Buddhism, developed sophisticated irrigation systems for rice farming, and created a writing system based on Sanskrit. Funan was a bustling hub, a maritime powerhouse connecting China to India and beyond, laying the cultural and political groundwork for everything that would follow. As Funan's influence waned around the 6th century, a new power rose from the north, Chenla. Initially a vassal of Funan, Chenla eventually absorbed its southern neighbor. This period was crucial as it saw the consolidation of Khmer identity and the first stirrings of the artistic and architectural genius that would later define the region. The rulers of Chenla unified various principalities, setting the stage for an even grander era. And what an era it was! In the year 802, a prince named Jayavarman II declared himself Devaraja, or God King, marking the official birth of the mighty Khmer Empire. This wasn't just a political statement. It was the dawn of a golden age that would last for over 600 years. The capital was eventually established at Angkor, a name that still echoes with power and mystery. The Khmer Empire was a civilization of immense wealth, military might, and artistic achievement. Its kings were master builders, commissioning vast temple complexes that were cosmic representations of the Hindu universe. The most famous of these, of course, is Angkor Wat. Built in the early 12th century by King Suryavarman II, it's the largest religious monument in the world. Imagine its central towers representing Mount Meru, the mythical home of the gods, all surrounded by a massive moat symbolizing the cosmic ocean. It's a jaw-dropping testament to the Khmer's devotion, engineering skill, and astronomical knowledge. But Angkor Wat is just one star in a vast constellation. There's also the incredible walled city of Angkor Thom, built by the great King Jayavarman VII. At its heart is the Bayon Temple, with its hundreds of serene, smiling stone faces that seem to follow you wherever you go. Jayavarman VII was a devout Buddhist, and under his rule, the state religion shifted from Hinduism to Mahayana Buddhism. He was also a king of the people, building a remarkable network of over 100 hospitals and rest houses along the empire's extensive road system. The Khmer Empire at its peak controlled much of modern-day Thailand, Laos, and southern Vietnam. Its sophisticated society was supported by a massive irrigation network, including huge reservoirs called barays, which allowed for multiple rice harvests a year, and sustained a population of perhaps 1 million people in the Angkor region alone. But like all great empires, the Khmer Empire eventually faced decline. A combination of factors likely contributed to its fall. Constant wars with neighboring kingdoms, particularly the Siamese kingdom of Ayutthaya, drained resources. Some scholars suggest that the shift to Theravada Buddhism, which emphasized individual salvation over the grand state-sponsored cult of the God King, may have weakened the central authority needed to maintain the massive infrastructure. Environmental issues, like drought and the overexploitation of the land, might have also played a significant role. In 1431, after a devastating siege, the Siamese captured Angkor, and the Khmer court moved south, closer to modern-day Phnom Penh. The glorious city of temples was gradually reclaimed by the jungle, its memory fading into legend for centuries. This period, from the 15th to the 19th century, is often called Cambodia's Dark Ages, though that's a bit of an oversimplification. While the kingdom was smaller and constantly caught between the ambitions of its powerful neighbors, Siam to the west and Vietnam to the east, Khmer culture endured. Kings continued to rule, and art and literature flourished in new forms. However, Cambodia was in a precarious position, often forced to pay tribute to both neighbors simultaneously just to maintain its existence. In 1863, seeking to escape the grip of Siam and Vietnam, King Norodom signed a treaty that made Cambodia a protectorate of France. This ushered in the era of French colonialism. The French brought Western administration, built some infrastructure, and, importantly, rediscovered the temples of Angkor, bringing them to the world's attention. French scholars began the painstaking work of clearing the jungle and restoring the ancient monuments. However, colonial rule also meant economic exploitation and the loss of true sovereignty. the Cambodians were second-class citizens in their own country. Cambodia finally gained its independence from France in 1953 under the leadership of King, later Prince, Norodom Sihanouk. The first 2 decades of independence were a time of relative peace and cultural vibrancy, often called the Golden Age of modern Cambodia. Phnom Penh was a beautiful, bustling city known as the Pearl of Asia. Film, music, and architecture flourished, blending traditional Khmer styles with modern influences. Sihanouk skillfully navigated the treacherous currents of the Cold War, trying to keep his country neutral. But the storm was gathering. The Vietnam War spilled across the border, with both American and North Vietnamese forces operating covertly inside Cambodia. This destabilized the country and fueled the rise of a radical communist insurgency known as the Khmer Rouge, led by a man named Pol Pot. In 1970, AU's backed coup overthrew Sihanouk, plunging the country into a brutal civil war. Then, on April 17, 1975, the unthinkable happened. The Khmer Rouge captured Phnom Penh. They immediately began one of the most horrific social experiments in human history. Their goal was to create a purely agrarian, communist utopia. They emptied the cities, forcing millions of people into the countryside to work in giant collective farms. They abolished money, religion, and private property. Education was halted, and family structures were destroyed. Anyone considered an intellectual, doctors, teachers, lawyers, even people who wore glasses, was targeted for execution. This period, known as the Cambodian Genocide, lasted for 3 years, 8 months, and 20 days. It's estimated that nearly 2 million people, a quarter of the country's population, died from execution, starvation, disease, and overwork. The infamous killing fields and the torture center at Tuol Sleng are horrifying monuments to this dark chapter. Salvation of a sort came in early 1979 when Vietnam invaded and toppled the Khmer Rouge regime. However, this led to another decade of civil war and occupation, with a coalition government, including remnants of the Khmer Rouge, fighting the Vietnamese-backed government. It wasn't until the Paris Peace Accords in 1991 that a comprehensive political settlement was reached. The United Nations stepped in to oversee a transition to democracy, culminating in elections in 1993 and the restoration of the monarchy. The path since then has been long and difficult, a journey of healing and rebuilding. Cambodia has had to confront the deep scars of its past while looking toward the future. The country has made remarkable economic progress, and its tourism industry, centered on the magnificent temples of Angkor, has boomed. Today's Cambodia is a nation of incredible resilience. The spirit of the Khmer people, who built one of the world's greatest empires and survived one of its worst tragedies, is truly inspiring. From the majesty of Angkor Wat to the vibrant streets of Phnom Penh, the story of Cambodia is a powerful reminder of the heights of human achievement and the depths of human suffering, but most of all, it's a story of survival and hope. The smiles on the faces of its people are as enduring as the stone faces of Bayon. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey through Cambodian history. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. See you next time.